I didn't think about this. I wore my Chiefs dynasty shirt here. I don't know. Are you a 49ers fan? Is this going to be doomed from the start?
I'm a Raiders fan, but I like the 49ers too. It's Raiders, then 49ers.
So you just hate me, basically, no matter what. You hate this.
No, I don't hate the 49ers at all.
The Chiefs, I mean,
Uh,
this I'm in Kansas City. We just, back to back Super Bowls here.
I like Kansas City too.
Well, then we'll just get along just fine. I
Yeah.
mean, I never thought in my life, I grew up in the 90s where, the 80s, the 49ers won all of them, and now the Chiefs
No.
out of
Yeah.
nowhere. It's been great, man. How have you been? You look great.
Thank you. Yeah, you look good too, man.
Well, I just turned 40 a few weeks ago, so
Okay,
trying
cool.
to
I've been
try
great, man.
the
Just
last time
excited about the new album.
the new
You
album's
know?
great. The last time we had you on was, gosh, it was back in the like you just call in and do an interview days. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
Welcome back to On the Road to Rock. This is so exciting because the new Babylon AD album, which I've been listening to all day. It's called Rome Wasn't Built in a Day. It's out May 17th. Man, the excitement here. You can get a pre-order right now through Perris Records. The excitement right now as you're getting ready to put this out, it's got to be an all-time high, especially because you guys just released a new video today for the
Yeah.
song Wrecking Machine, which is an awesome video.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it is pretty much the high right now because we worked so hard for about a year on the album and then recording for about 5 or 6 months since October. We recorded till last month, October till what's that till March, early March, and then we sent it off for mastering and everything. And we got it back about 3 weeks ago, about a month ago, and so yeah, this is it's good for me too because I finally feel like us mission accomplished on that part at least. Getting all the songs together and the writing and the composing and the lyrics and all that kind of stuff and the producing.
Yeah. In the meanwhile, you guys released a live album, Live Lightning.
Yeah, we did
Um,
that.
that,
Mhm.
that, that was that. I mean, I really like that. I'm a live album
Cool.
fan in general. So like to hear those songs, I know you've done other ones, but
Yeah,
that was good to at least have that out in the meantime, but
yeah.
between
That
the things you did.
that's exactly what we did. We wanted to let everybody kind of know that we're back instead of just putting out a record and try to, we put that one out a year in advance so people would know that we're back on the scene. And we started playing a lot of dates last year and everything like that. And then we went in the recording studio and recorded this album so that there'd be a couple of years of everybody getting used to the band being back together.
I mean, talk about this video for Wrecking Machine. Like it is in your face. It is, I mean, it is Babylon AD from like what you picture and what those wonderful feelings that you had when the first time you heard the self-titled. Like it just hits you hard. And the video, man, there's all sorts of crazy graphics and robots. And like, how did this concept for this video come about?
Well, I wrote the song, and when I was writing the song, I kind of had the idea in my head of like, because everyone's talking about this AI shit, it's everywhere. And so as I wrote the lyrics, I started thinking to myself, these lyrics would fit an AI robot, like a hot chick maybe robot. So the idea started forming in my head how it would go, and so we shot all the live stuff, and I at the exact same time, a couple days before, I started looking through and digging up all the shots that I thought I would probably use for the for the back storyline of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um,
it's
that's basically how it
awesome.
came about. Yeah,
It's awesome. I mean, you guys, the thing about this album, it's 11 tracks, very diverse because that song is very in your face. It's very like
yeah,
the kid goes wild
yeah. It
esque.
is. Yeah,
And
yeah,
then you got songs like Crashed into the Sun or,
yeah,
Face of God that are, more mid
yeah.
tempo or more melodic. So was that kind
Mhm.
of what you had in mind to kind of make more of a diverse album here?
We didn't set out to do anything in particular except for just make a great album. So we ended up with having about 20 songs to choose from, and we chose what we thought would be best for this album. And we have another nine songs that are demoed, and there's probably about maybe 4 or 5 of those that can get on the next album. We kind of grade them, from like a 1 to 5, and we let some of our friends and relatives that have been with the, know everything about the band forever. We kind of go off their judgment and our judgment, and then we'll pick like what we think are the strongest tunes. But so I think it's a lot diverse because I write, I you know I write basically all the melodies and all the lyrics and stuff like that. but the guys contribute music. So Ron has a different feel on his guitar than John does. And then also our newest members, Dylan Soto and Craig, the bass player, they also write too. So I have a big palette to draw from, whatever as long as it still is my voice. In my mind, I think if it's my voice and it still sounds cool, the music sounds cool, then it's Babylon AD. That's the way I kind of think of it.
100%, me as well, and that's why it feels and it hits so hard for me. Talk about your relationship with Perris Records, because right now, if you go to perrisrecords.com/Babylon AD, you can pre-order the album. You can get a bundle, which includes like a shirt. It's a really cool deal you can get right now, and it's going to be cheaper if you go pre-order it right now than when it comes out. So do that.
Right.
But Perris Records, because from what I understand, you weren't exactly thrilled with the way kind of things went with the last album, Revolution Highway, that was I think via Frontiers. And so do you feel like this is a better fit for you guys?
This is a much better fit because Frontier Records, they're a great record label, but they've got 100 bands, man.
Right.
So it's basically every month they throw out about 3 or 4 bands, and they just kind of see if anything's going to stick. It's like spaghetti on the wall. And if somehow you happen to stick, maybe they'll stay with you a little while. But Perris Records, I've known Tom for about 20 years. So he's the one that kind of convinced us to get back in the game by saying, hey, you have got any live stuff or any old demos or anything that you guys could put out? So that's how the whole idea started forming. Like, what, we do have some live stuff we could put out. And at the same time, we had been writing material before the COVID hit, because we were going to do another record with Frontiers Records. And then COVID hit, and that kind of stifled everything and slowed us all down, and I just kept writing and writing and writing. And then Tom, like I said, when Tom approached us about the live album, we put that together knowing that we were going to do this album. I played him a few tracks of the demos that we were doing. He was like, man, this is going to be fantastic, And Tom is just he's a great guy because he's a go-getter, man. He's got a good people around him and good company, and they're hungry, so it's not like they're just laying back on their laurels. And you're a label that has 100 bands, and you just don't feel like you get all the attention that you think you should.
It's hard. It is, and it's hard for me to kind of describe the excitement level for me as a fan when bands that I love release new music. I know that sounds very, very, just a casual thing, but like there is not a lot of bands from our era, from Babylon AD's era, that are your peers that consistently release new music. So to see it, it's very exciting. What does that say about you guys and the fan base that you've built over time that's still there, that's still diehard, that you can have a release like this and there can be an excitement for it and a market for it? That's got to make you feel pretty justified in what you do.
Yeah, it does. It makes you feel really good too, because you work really hard, and you write what you feel, but at the same time, you're always hoping, well, I hope everybody else likes it too. You're never sure. You're never 100% sure, but all you have to do is go on your gut feeling, and if that tells you, what, this song, like Wrecking Machine's our first single, like we talked about a few minutes ago, and it was our gut feeling talking with our management team, and everybody's like, this might not be the most catchiest, poppiest song, but we've got like Sometimes Love Is Hell. It's a great ballad, very like desperate kind of thing. And then we've got Rome Wasn't Built in a Day, which is going to be our second single. And those songs have a lot of catchy, big, giant hooks. And this one, like you said before, is like Kid Goes Wild, right in your face, So we kind of wanted to lead off with that and then transform into that. And it's just great that the fans have stuck with us all these years, and it gets us inspired to keep wanting to do it. Keep because I've got hundreds of ideas, so I want them to be released and get out there. You know what I mean? And as long as there's a fan base that digs it, then we're just going to keep going.
Do you feel like Babylon AD has any peers? Because for you guys, coming out at the very end of the 80s and kind of being from the Bay Area, you weren't your typical 80s Sunset Strip band. I think about maybe I know you guys toured with like Wild Side a lot back. They played a lot of shows with them. Would you say like a band like Wild Side, maybe Roxy Blue? Who are some bands that you guys see kind of as peers, or as now that years go by, you do the Monsters of Rock cruises, you do all these shows that, it all just kind of fits together and you're all just one big happy family as it is?
I don't know what other bands are doing, to be honest with you. I know Extreme just put out a new album, I know Sebastian Bach has a new album coming out, but I have no clue what anybody else is doing because I guess I'm just focused on Babylon AD and focused on my own solo material so much. I'm in the recording studio probably 5 out of 7 days a week for 10 hours a day, doing something, either doing the video stuff or uh, writing new music or writing with somebody else. I'm writing with Dan De La Rosa, the guitar player that was in Babylon AD for 20 years, for a project that him and I are doing. So to be honest with you, man, I can't give you a direct answer on that because I
Yeah.
don't know what the other bands are doing. I don't know if they've released anything or tour. I have no clue, man. All I know is what I'm doing.
Yeah, of course. And then that completely makes sense. And have you guys been able to unveil any of these songs live yet? I know you guys have a show coming up May 18th, which will be like right as
All
the
right.
album's coming out.
Yeah.
And then the whiskey on
Mhm.
June 7th. So have you ever had a
Yeah.
chance to play anything live yet? And what songs are you most looking forward to kind of unveiling in a live
Well,
setting?
okay, so we've been testing out one of our songs. It's a really commercial type of song. It's called "Looking for a Heartbeat," and it's very hooky. It's kind of, to me, it reminds me of like if Journey and Boston got together or something. That's kind of what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
Even and they put "Shot of Love" in there too, and somehow that's the only way I could describe it. It's very melodical. Um, but yeah, we've been trying that one out at all of our gigs, and we knew that it was a great song that we were going to put on the record just because of the fans. And I would ask them after that I'd announce, hey, this is a new song we're thinking about putting on the new album. Let us know what you think, And sure enough, man, every time we played it, everybody, by the time we hit the second chorus, they were singing right along with us. So we knew, and then we got all the feedback like that song's on the album for sure. So we've tested that song out. We're going to be playing 5 songs off the new album when we
Wow.
start playing out. Uh, but at the same time, we got a lot to choose from. So, uh, a lot of fans remember the first album the most. So of course we're going to play "Bangle the Bells," "Hammer Swings Down," "Desperate," "Kid Goes Wild." We might play "Shot of Love" or "Marianne." But usually our set list is about maybe 13, 14 songs long. I think it's just going to be extended to about 16 or 17 now.
that's that's like, hey, when you get to that point in your career where it's hard to make a set list, you've done something right.
That, I never thought about that, but I guess so, huh?
It's like, well, I don't know. Can we fit in a couple from this one, or I don't
Yeah.
know? Like now we know what Iron Maiden goes through. I mean,
Well, yeah, and there's songs that you want to play, and you're like, well, man, where could this fit in the set? Because we got so many songs. What do we take out? Which one is better? It's a hard decision sometimes when I'm writing the set.
there's a band that in Firehouse that they
Uh-huh.
they won the debut album of the year 1991. They were another one of those bands that kind of came out at the very end of
Yeah,
things, and right as grunge was taking over. And obviously, we just lost CJ Snare. I just wondered if you
yeah.
had any stories about CJ or had anything, if you ever
No,
met him
no.
even.
To be honest with you, we played with those guys maybe about 4 or 5 times over the years, different venues and stuff like that. But I really never got to know them.
Mhm.
Backstage, hanging out a little bit, things like that. But to be honest with you, man, I really don't know those guys.
Yeah, it's just hard. I think for me, because I, came into this as a young dude whenever I was just, learning MTV. And, as I was in middle school and stuff, grunge was popular. And I went back and I found Van Halen, I found Kiss, I found you guys.
Oh,
That was always so to get, to be 40 like I am now and to lose so many, legends, and so many have retired. I mean, Kiss has played their last show now, and
yeah.
it's just there. I don't know. There's a sobering thought about losing your heroes. You can definitely
Well,
relate to that, I'm sure.
my favorite band of all time that I grew up as a kid, anyways, I'd say the first 5 albums that made the most dent on me was Aerosmith.
Yeah.
And they're on their last tour. This
Yeah.
is it. And I'm gonna get a ticket to one of their shows for
Yeah.
sure.
There
You
you
know,
go.
because
Yeah.
those guys were so inspiration to me, such an inspiration to me, especially Steven Tyler's vocal style and stuff like that. I mean, man, I tried to sing "Back in the Saddle Again" a million times when I was 15, my voice cracking and everything. So, that and Montrose's first album had a very big impact on me, growing up.
Oh, that's interesting. And whenever you play venues like the Whiskey, I don't know how many times you guys played it back in the day, but it's obviously such an iconic venue. You're going to be there June 7th. Is that a place that like elicits a certain,
Yeah,
aura or memories for you?
absolutely. I think I've played there probably about maybe 7 or 8 times, and as Babylon AD probably 4 or 5 times. But every time you get on that stage, you just got to say to yourself, man, I'm standing right where Jim Morrison stood. You know, it
Yeah.
just hits you. I mean, and everybody in the world that is with their salt has played there. You know, everybody. It's to me, it's just it's great that we could play there, man. I mean, a lot of people. I had a couple of people at the last time we played there said to me, you know, you guys should be playing a bigger place than this. And I looked at them like, are you freaking crazy, man? This, it doesn't matter the size of the place. This place is historic. You know what I mean? This is
Yes.
hollow ground, man, for rock and roll. I don't care about the size of the place. I care about, you know, who we're playing for and the people in the crowd. They know that they're here at a historic place. You know, it's
So
different.
true. I'm hoping to make it out to LA for that show. If
Be
not,
awesome, man.
you guys are gonna be at the Monsters on
Monsters
the
on the
Mountain
Mountain.
show.
Yeah.
That's gonna be insane too in August, like August 24th, or they don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think they have the days yet for every band, but that's when it starts. So
Yeah.
it's a big summer for you guys with this
Yeah.
album and these shows. Like this is a big deal here.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of dates coming through right now too that we haven't even put on the list.
Ooh,
We've got some European stuff coming through, so it's going to be pretty busy, man. You know, starting we'll probably start announcing that stuff in the next 2 or 3 weeks. But there's only so much you could, you know. Right now we're concentrating on this first single in the video,
yeah.
you know, and then you know you kind of want news to keep dripping out maybe once a week or so, unless it's just all overkill in one day, you know.
I think it's awesome when I see this stuff and I'm getting these press releases. I'm just like, you know, set me up immediately because you know, you guys have a place in my heart that's really hard to replicate. And I'll tell you, you know, personally, I'm sure you hear this a lot, but like as a kid, a child of the 80s, man, I was a sponge. I absorbed everything. I was such a huge, you know, RoboCop fan. And then the sequel comes out and then I hear this song, the kid goes wild. I'm like, I don't know what this is. I got to find out who that band is. Who the hell is that? And then I saw the video and I'm like, oh my God, like it was just overkill. So isn't it crazy to think that like a song in a movie can really turn the tide for somebody? That's really happens a lot, I think.
I've heard that from quite a few people too. It's
Yeah.
pretty weird that you say that. You're saying the same thing I've heard many times. You
And
know?
that goes for Alice Cooper too. He did songs for this Friday the 13th movie, and like it just somehow those worlds collide. And back then, I feel like that was a thing. That
Yeah,
the pop culture, the movies, everything kind of just was symbiotic. And
yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like now there's nothing memorable, nothing's original, and I'm not into it. And I feel old saying that, but
Instead of 15 minutes of fame, you got 15 seconds of fame now.
exactly. I don't know the world we live in. I'm feel old saying all this, but like I just
Yeah,
relate to that time period and to what you guys
yeah.
created.
I say the same thing sometimes, and my wife said, "You sound old," and I'm like, "What do you
Exactly.
mean I sound old? I don't sound old, man. This is the truth I'm speaking. You know."
It is. Yeah, I'd say that this was the best time to grow up. It's the best time to be young was in the 70s and into the 80s. I feel like you
Yeah,
know, should be about 55 to 60 right now. That
yeah,
was like I missed my time, but that was to me the best time. It's irrefutable. You guys went through it all. You guys were young when all the wonderful the bands came out in the 70s and in the
yeah.
60s and then created what the 80s became.
That's true.
Nintendo, pop culture, movies, and
Yeah,
now you got to learn how to text and use Zoom. I mean, you've been through it all.
yeah. You got to say, "What is this thing? It's a computer. What does it do?"
and so that's why you guys are the World War II generation. That is, of course, they're the best among it, the best generation. But you guys, right up there for me. So that
Thank you, man.
Derek, you talk about just you produced, mixed, engineered this album.
Yeah.
Just you last back in the day, you guys worked with you know greats like Tom Werman, but like you,
Yeah.
how did you kind of take on this role and like? Did you just feel like you learned so much over the years from being in studios that you felt like you could really, you know, be that hands on with an album?
I I have a picture of me when I was 7 years old, and for Christmas I got my first tape recorder, and it was a reel to reel. And I started recording then. Honest to God, you can ask my parents. I started recording right then, and then it was 2 track, then it was 4 track, a little TAG, then it was 8 track, then it was 16 track, then it was 24 track, and now it's multi track. So I've always recorded. And I've been writing for, since I was, I think, maybe 15, writing lyrics and writing songs. And, composing. So it's not a hard jump for me. The best thing for me, I think, was learning when watching the producers and watching the engineers that we work with on the first two albums, and be basically I was there every day, no matter what, if I sang or not. I was there every day from the time they got there to the time they left, and I watched everything and I asked tons of questions. And the best compliment I ever got was from Tom Werman, and we were done with our album, and we were sitting in the studio at the studio console board with the speakers on. One of the songs just went off, and it was late at night. And I remember he looked over at me. He goes, "You know, Derek," he goes, "I've recorded, man. You know, I've worked with tons of artists, man. You know me." He goes, and I never co-produced with anybody. He goes, but I would co-produce with you, and I'd probably co-produce with Nikki Sixx. You guys are the only guys I think have the ear that could do it. Man, I tell you what, I was blown away because Tom Werman for me was like, you know how you said like whenever you saw the movie RoboCop and you went, "Well, who's that band?" Well, I used to look on the back of albums. Well, who produced this?
Right.
How did this get made? And I would see Tom Werman on Cheap Trick, The Babies, Ted Nugent. I was like, I want that guy. So even when we got our first record deal, they said, "You guys have anybody in mind to produce your first album?" Tom Werman. Oh, but he's too busy, right? He's like a year and a half out. So the whole time, all we did was bug him to get him on the second album, and basically work around his schedule because he's doing Motley Crue and you know,
Yeah.
so that was the thing for me where I knew like, well, if he thinks I could produce with him, then I could produce anything with anybody. You know what I mean? And I started producing with different bands and stuff like that after that too.
Which is tremendous, and it really the production values really, I think, very high here on Rome Wasn't Built in a Day.
Thanks.
And I think that talk about the cover, because you got like Caesar blowing a bubble, but you got this black kind of stitchy back like textured background, but you got that familiar Babylon AD logo. Like, are
Mhm.
you involved with that, the artistic side of this too? I mean, how'd you come up with
Yeah.
that?
Yep. I did that too, and I do all the videos. I've been I've done all of our videos,
Looks like
stretching
you're
back.
still editing the one back there. Looks like you still got the wrecking machine one was back there.
Oh
I
yeah.
saw a robot on there.
That one, bro, the Rome Wasn't Built in a Day video. I just got done editing about 3 days ago, man. It's fantastic. I think it's better than this one myself. I don't know what everybody
Wow.
else is gonna think. It is really super cool, man.
This this is really the beginning of what's going to an amazingly busy, fun, outrageous summer for you and you got in the band. Like
Yeah,
this
I
is
think
really
so.
cool, and the fact that there is such a demand, the fact that there's people that are clamoring for this. I mean, I think it says a lot about the music you guys created, the legacy that you have. It has to really hit home that like, man, there is a major audience for this, and that's not the case. Every band doesn't get that
Yeah, that's
this
true.
much far into their career. So that has to be feel good.
Yeah, and you got to make sure that you have some good material too, because we could have just put out a turd and just say, "Hey, we got a great album," and have one good song. But you know, I I, I wouldn't want to do that. You know,
Of
you
course
got you got
not.
to set a standard.
I love focusing on the new stuff, and it's great. I want to ask you about kind of the genesis of the band. As of course the self-titled comes out in 1989. It was so impactful. How did your like you personally and kind of the band, your life changed all of a sudden when the release happens? You've got Bango the Bells come out. You've got The Kid Goes Wild. You're on MTV. You're
Mhm.
playing shows. I mean, was it just like a whirlwind? Was it hard to even like really understand
Yeah,
what was happening in the business side of things at the time?
pretty much. You get swallowed up. On the business side, it kind of takes a background, and you let other people handle the business. But like the old saying goes, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. Kind of like the Gene Simmons idea, right? Because I got to tell you, man, there's a lot of vultures out there and a lot of sharks, man. And we were young kids and we learned fast that, you could get screwed in this business really fast, man. And we come from a place where outside Oakland, California, where it's kind of like your word is your bond, man, or you kick the dude's ass if he lies to you or whatever. But in the business world, man, they could stab you in the back and ain't shit you could do, you know? So we learned that kind of stuff that really sucked. And basically, that was kind of one of the reasons where after we did the second album and we got dropped, we didn't really pursue like let's do another album on our own like some of the bands
Hmm.
did. We were so defeated from the record company business side. It was like, what's the point kind of thing? What does it matter? You know, it doesn't matter if you have the best song in the world because these other people are gonna screw you somehow. You know, these leeches and stuff that just leech on in the business, man. But yeah, so I mean, it was a learning experience on that side, but at the same time, the band was having so much fun. I mean, it was a whirlwind, man. It was
I,
mayhem. I mean, every single day, every single hour was jam packed with stuff, and sometimes you got a little out of breath, man. You couldn't catch up, you know, because there was so much shit going on, man. You know, not to say I wouldn't like to be back there again, but I don't know if I could be on the road for 6 months in a row and have to do like I'm doing an interview with right now. Well, back then I'd do like 3 or 4 interviews. They weren't these type of interviews, but they were phone interviews or going to the radio station
yep.
and then doing your sound check, then playing a gig. And then when you get off the show, what do you want to do? You want to party, right? So here you are with the bus full of chicks and you're partying, and then you do it all over again every single day, at least 6 days a week, you know?
God, I missed it. I missed my time. I missed my calling. I'm born too late. I missed so many things, Derek. I feel like I could have really had some fun myself back then, and I just have to live vicariously through you guys and go back and watch the documentaries and the videos and the behind the musics and all. That's where I like
Yeah.
can live it all through.
I'm
Yeah.
sure every band like that came out around that time. I know a lot of cats that have a lot of good stories. But you know what's funny is I've got a lot of friends that work for, I'm not going to tell you who, but a couple big bands. They never had any of that shit. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then they guys work for us and then they work for these bigger bands and they'll tell them stories. They go, what? They did that? That kind of stuff. And we're thinking like, my whole idea was like I read the book, like Led Zeppelin's book, the Rolling Stones book, and the guys in my bands, or Motley. We kind of lived like Guns N' Roses, Motley Crue did, but a lot of bands, man, believe it or not, they were just straight laced, just business the whole time. You know what I mean? And
It's
maybe
hard.
that's why they were got bigger and made it through. But us, it was like we just had a fucking massive party 90% of the time, and we kind of let the business side screw us.
Well, it's onward and upward for you guys. And again, before we let you go, we hit you with our final 4 drum roll, which is 4 quick questions. You give us whatever comes to mind. And again, parisrecords.com/BabylonAD. You can pre-order the album right now. And I sure hope that you guys will do that. BabylonADband.com. You can also get there and check out all the dates. So final 4 drum roll. First question, what is the first concert you ever attended?
Fleetwood Mac, Winterland.
We're amazing. That's an amazing one. I'm lost for words. That's
I was
what a
on
great,
acid, so I don't remember much of it except there was a lot of girls that had blonde hair and wearing white.
yeah, that's it.
I sat in the very back.
You were in the right place. Yeah, that was it. What's the first album that you either bought with your own money or stole from someone?
First album. First album I think was Let It Be by the Beatles.
Mm.
I think I was in the 3rd grade.
What's the last concert you attended just as a fan?
Rod Stewart, about maybe 3 weeks ago, and man,
Wow.
he was great. It blew me away. I got to tell you, I love Cheap Trick, but man, it was sad watching those guys compared to Rod Stewart.
Really?
Yeah, I was blown away because I've seen Cheap Trick many times, and they couldn't even get in the room with Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart was awesome. I can't believe that he's Joe Biden's age and running around that stage and singing like crazy. I'm like, wow, this is amazing, man. You
That
know?
that that is the greatest comparison I've ever heard. So yeah, that's hilarious.
That's all I kept thinking is like, he's 81, Biden's 81. What the hell's going on here?
I'm a bigger Rod Stewart fan, to be honest. But um, okay, this will be a good one. You can play. You're the singer. You're the front man for one band, living or dead of all time. But the caveat being, you have to know in your heart that you can pull the songs off live, and the crowd will still like you.
Mm, Jeez, that's a tough one, man. That's a really tough one.
Or it's at least passable. Like, hey,
You
you,
could you could pass it off,
you
maybe.
can pass it off. Yeah.
Maybe the Faces.
Nice.
You know, I
Okay.
think I could impersonate Rod Stewart pretty good.
Yeah, there you go. It's full circle right there. That's a
Yeah,
full circle moment. Yeah, let's work on that. Let's
yeah, I
make that
really dig
happen.
Rod, man. You know, I listen to Faces all the time still. It's so weird that I still listen to all that old shit.
I love that musical diversity that you have because it really shows up, and that's really respectable. Derek, I'm so excited. Babylon AD all summer long. I'm gonna get to one of these shows. You'll see me somewhere. Damn it, I
Cool.
have to do it because I love the band. I love the new album. Best of luck. This is gonna be great. Big summer. Stay cool, stay busy, and stay safe, my friend. We'll talk soon.
All right, brother. Thank you.
You
Bye bye.
bet. Thank you.